Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Star Wars Minute. Now, hold on, though, before you turn off, it's a daily podcast. We analyze, we scrutinize, and we celebrate the rise of Skywalker 1 minute at a time. I'm Alex Robinson from alexrobinson.fun.
I'm Pete the Retailer from PeteTheRetailer.com.
I'm James Hewlett from LiveActionStarWars.com.
And I'm Ralph Apel, and you can find all my junk in one place, CasinoSkunk.com. Junk, podcast, movies, everything I'm working on.
Closing out the week with live action Star Wars. Thanks for coming back, fellas.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Now, before we start the minute, we have to do some unfinished business from yesterday. We ended on a cliffhanger yesterday with Kylo Ren saying last time what was the exact phrasing? She wanted to take...
She wanted to take his... I think it was his. I don't know if we...
Oh, I didn't...
Yeah, she wanted to take.
She wanted to take, and I forgot to write it down.
I
said, hey, let's all write it down, and then I forgot to write it down.
All right, well, I will go first then while you guys are all writing it down. I said that he thinks she wanted to take a whoopee break. A whoopee break. You know, they just had that big laser... They just had that big laser fight. So they're all, sweaty and worked up. So he thought she wanted a whoopee break. Did anyone match me?
No.
Everyone's.
I had written he wanted to take the A train.
The A train. Jazz fan. The Duke. The Duke of the Knights of Ren. What did you write?
I had his last name.
Oh, very, very top.
Last name.
Yeah.
Ray Ren?
Does he mean Solo or does
Ren.
he mean Ren? or Kylo Ren, right?
Ren.
That is his last name. Yeah, okay.
Ray Ren.
Ray Ren. So not a match?
I had, she wanted to take a break. She wanted to take a Kit Kat.
Oh, that's close. You could probably have a whoopee break with a Kit Kat afterwards.
Judges?
Yeah.
Kit Kat is our sponsor for this episode, so that is a match. James is our winner for this week.
Kit Kats are like huge in England, right?
I think
like
there was
bigger?
a quiz question and yeah, they're massive. Each wafer is so big. There was a pub quiz question that I was doing the other day, and it was like, what's the most popular chocolate bar in the UK? And I think Kit Kat won by quite a large margin.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh. Go figure.
Ooh, large margin. Tell them large margin sent you.
Not a fun size margin.
No. None of that snack size margin.
Yeah.
So, minute 25 starts off with Kylo Ren asking Rey why she didn't want to hold his hand. Sorry, didn't want to hold his handia. And it ends a minute later with Kylo Ren being addressed by Officer Candia.
Oh, there you go.
It rhymes. Ring theory. It's like ring theory. It rhymes.
There you go.
I'm glad that you guys are doing this movie because this is the film that I think I know the least side characters' names.
Yes.
And of the Disney films, like it's definitely been through listening to you guys that I've been learning the names. Like I think prequels I knew, original trilogies I knew, but these movies. No, I didn't know Paul
Treatham.
Know that. Yeah.
Did anyone really know Paul Treatham?
It's kind of aloof. Yeah, but it's been nice. It's been nice picking up on these names and getting to know them.
Well, I also feel like we're entering an era now where everyone kind of comes all the names are kind of preloaded. Like they give all names to virtually everyone now. Or even in the prequel visual dictionaries, they didn't really go into as much of the minor little supporting characters. Yeah. So they're really on top of it much more now than
Constable
they were.
Zuvio didn't even make it in the film. Had a name.
Yeah.
No.
There was names that didn't even.
Yeah, there's far more named
than there were characters.
Yeah, there's far more named characters that don't even speak than there are characters who speak in the movie. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Right.
Yeah.
So minute 25. We're continuing the forced chat between
slow-mo Pisana
Kylo
in the background.
Yeah.
Now, do we think did they do this with the volume? Did they run slow-mo Pisana people behind them, like Fire and Pisana, and stand Rey in front of that?
That's what I was thinking.
Maybe. I don't know
how that works.
I don't know if they were using... I don't know, because I think a lot of this was shot over here in the UK, and the volume... True. They only had the one at the time, and that was in Burbank.
Yeah.
Could just be good old-fashioned rear projection.
Yeah, it could be.
Or people moving really slowly, like Pasana. I don't know, the fire. Tough
I
to
don't
get
know. I
fire
feel
to
like they
act.
would have been talking about the volume a lot more in the behind the scenes docs if they used it for this movie. Do you think that everyone else on Pasana is looking at her like she's crazy? Is she like from their perspective? Because as this minute opens, it looks like a few of them are like, what? And then they just get back to partying because.
But
they
do we know that
everything else?
Do we know that this conversation takes the same amount of time as her surroundings?
Well, if they're in slow motion, that means to them, she's in fast motion.
Yeah,
she's just kind of like chipmunking into the air.
But also, when it starts off, it's daytime, and then it's nighttime, and then so she's been there for 24 hours standing there talking to us.
Well, it's those quick Pasana days. That's how they go through 42 years so quickly.
Right. It's her whole week. It's tongue
stuff
again.
with all like garbage all over people, stuff on her face and everything.
And that's why so many outsiders, they show up for a 3-day festival, and it's just like, wait a minute, that was like 40 minutes. What's going on?
Yeah,
I got cheated. Well, at least I got these beads.
I like that. Yeah. I don't think anyone is paying her any attention because, as mentioned last week, they're all inhaling a lot of smoke.
Smoke.
Oh, right, yeah.
So they're just like, hey, man, everyone's
smoking.
on their own. Yeah.
Yeah.
Smoking.
Man, when I guess we'll have other opportunities to talk about this, but when I was a kid and like the shady people who are possibly had connections would show up with a lot of fireworks on the 4th of July, let's say. And that was always one of my favorite things. You know, as fun as it is to watch things explode and do all that, I loved just the very kind of like, almost looked like a cartoon bomb, like a mini cartoon bomb, of like a colored powder almost, like a pastel cartoon bomb that would be a smoke bomb, and it would just go just so much smoke would come out of it, and it was so fun to
smell. It had a very specific smell.
Yeah, totally.
I think I like them more now as like an adult than I did then, and definitely like more than fireworks. I like that sort of stuff. The smoke stuff is very.
We should have like days where it's, and that's everybody. I love seeing people complain about fireworks. Their dogs freaking out about fireworks. Let's just do smoke bombs, and it's prettier.
Yeah. You can do it during the day.
These dogs will get upset.
Do it during the day.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, smoke day. Yeah, I guess if you do it at night, it's not.
So what's the name? What's the name of this event again? This
Aki Festival of the Ancestors.
Oh, okay.
Festival.
Do it every
42 years.
Every 42 years.
Right.
Yeah.
I
think
I'm into.
You could do it. You could do it at night with like some like under lighting. So you put some lights down and then you do the smoke bombs like on top of that. That would look great.
Well, I guess maybe during the day we're all running around doing amateur stuff, and then at night there's like the Macy's, smoke day festival thing where it's just like then you have lasers and
drones with lights dancing through the smoke.
Right. I'm into it. Do we assign it to an existing holiday? Do we just take over a different holiday? But guess what? Arbor Day is all about smoke now.
I think
May 25th. Let's do it May 25th.
All right. There we go.
Orthodox Star Wars Day.
Right.
Yeah, that's Orthodox Star Wars Day. That's that's a different thing. We need to. When did this movie come? Do you know the release date of this movie? It was a December
9th.
Like a December 20th.
I want to say 18th or 19th. I think it was a bit before.
Yeah, we'll do that. Do like that. Mm-hmm. So I like when the Star Wars days kind of match up. Like Boonta Eve is May 19th, I think, because that's when Phantom Menace came out. Stuff like that. Life Day is November 17th because that's when the holiday special was released. Sure. So find out when this movie came out and then make that.
How are we going to find that out?
I was going to say, if only we had some way.
What do we? Only.
So this is the scene.
I'm all for it.
This is the scene where Kylo Ren. This is where he snatches her jewelry off of her neck. Well, the jewelry that she stole from the other from the little girl.
Right. She still hasn't paid for that, and already it's gone.
Yeah, it's a really convenient way of shoplifting. Is you hold it and someone else at a different location grabs it out of your hand, and you're like, well,
oh yeah.
I don't have it.
That's the real reason that she's like, we have to get out of here right now. Like that little girl, she's after me.
Right? Yeah. I don't want to spend my time in Festival of the Ancestors jail.
So then
probably smells.
Kylo then presumably hands it off to his team and says, "Analyze." He says, "Hey, analyze this."
Analyze this.
Hands it off to Robert De Niro.
Did they do 3 of those or only 2 of those?
Analyze this, analyze that.
And wasn't
I
it
feel like
analyze?
they would have analyzed the other thing.
Yeah, they didn't do analyze the other thing.
I feel like there's room for more, right? Like how much time before that happens they do a new one.
They
People are
work
nostalgic
fast though
for
in
that.
the First Order. The First Order analysis team works super fast.
Yeah,
'cause,
because
yeah.
they're just there. They're still there.
Yeah. By the time it takes Rey to like find the rest of the gang, like they've
right.
done it. They're finished.
And picture, like, again, so we said picture, Rey's part of the conversation from their point of view. Picture now the person, like Kylo Ren goes into his room and he comes out and he's like, quick, I just found this necklace in my room. Somebody tell me where it came from. Oh, okay.
It's like he's just got someone off camera in the room just waiting for things. Like, I'm going to snatch something.
And that's the thing where I mentioned there's like no time to breathe in this movie. Like as soon as he grabs it, it's already being analyzed. Like it's just going.
Yeah.
I'm surprised she didn't actually hand it to him before. Like the analysis wasn't completed before he actually grabbed it off of her.
Yeah, right.
That would have been real.
Like Bill and Ted.
Yeah.
And then he's suddenly in a cage.
How do you think? What analysis did they do? Is this like they put it into some kind of like to analyze the rocks and they're like, oh, these are from that planet? Is it some anthropologist who's like, oh yeah, that's an Aki beer ticket necklace.
Yeah.
That's like what do they have like an anthropologist on staff who knows? I guess a protocol droid would probably be this way.
Like the Amazon app or the eBay app on your phone where they just like open it up and took a picture of it and it came up as just like, oh, it's the Aki beer necklace. Do you want to buy it now for 40 credits?
Yeah, my wife has an app like that works for plants.
Oh yeah,
it can recognize plants. So
same idea.
But they had to go to a different room to do that.
Yeah,
they didn't just do it like. He probably could have just grabbed a scanner or something. I don't know.
He doesn't know though. He went to an underling and they took it into the other room. Waited a second. They're like, "Well, we don't want him to think that we can do this quickly." So hang on.
Yeah.
Did it with their phone, and they're like, "All right, let's."
Did he explain where it was? I just took this from my girlfriend. Like, but did he explain where this thing came from and why? I guess they don't ask questions. Kylo Ren, he just does whatever.
Yeah.
They do whatever.
Goes
he
into
tells
his room, comes out in a haze, like, "What is this?" I'll look that up for you. Yeah.
They're like, dude, you've only been in there 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Time goes slower out here.
A weird question.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Do Star Destroyers have gift shops?
That is a weird question.
Well, because because it has like people who live on the ship full time, and like I assume they have like a kitchen and. Like,
does your house have a gift shop, Alex? Is that what you're trying to tell us?
I'm like, no, but if
people live there and you have a kitchen.
But I'm thinking it's basically like a giant. Go ahead.
My apartment complex has a
sundry
place where
store,
like vending machines, and you can go to the clubhouse, and there's like magazines, and they have stuff to set up so you can do gift wraps. Like I think there could be something. I mean, I feel like they have like corner stores. Like they have they'll
have like a confectionery sort of yeah.
Right. I'm thinking about that, like those newsstands that are like on a subway platform.
Yeah,
exactly.
Like
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, there's someone someone selling bento bowls and things like that. Like yeah. There's a juice bar probably. Some ping pong tables set up. Yeah, a Jamba Juice is probably there. But yeah.
They probably have like a little spinner rack on the counter that has Japor snippets on it that you can, if you have the loved one to give it to, you can
send it back to wherever you want.
There's got to be something, maybe not a gift shop per se, but I feel like a convenience store type of thing. But then also they might have something like.
But like, could you get could you go into the gift shop and get like USS Demoralizer or whatever the ship's name is?
What is
That
the
I
ship
could
called
see.
again? I remember.
Executizer.
Do you think they've got like
Steadfast.
franchising opportunities?
Shadowfax?
Do you think they've got franchising opportunities on the Star Destroyers? Do you think there are empty units?
Oh, like a Subway?
Yeah, like could you open a Burger King on a Star Destroyer if you like?
Oh
buy it?
man,
Probably.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
Those crazy onion rings feel like they would fit in the Star Wars universe. Those sort of blended up onions molded into the
It's
shape
not-
of a
it's
ring.
not really an
like,
onion.
I feel like
Yeah.
that's the
Right.
Yeah. So I would say that would be amazing. Like there's got to be something. There's got to be some sort of supermarket. All their clothes are issued, but you can your underwears and stuff you got to probably buy from somewhere. Like I worked at Disneyland, and it's very working at Disneyland is very much like working on a Star Destroyer. I feel like there's
They're harvesting
commissary.
children.
Yeah. But are there gift shops at Disney? I'm not.
Like if you're we're talking backstage just for employees. Yes, there are gift shops just for employees.
Wow.
Or discontinue items. I got a
My brother works at
lightsaber
Disney
one
World, and all
for
I got
$25
was Oh, is that where they have all the
But,
endangered stuff that that the regular customers don't want? That you guys get sweet deals on them.
Yeah. Anything like Christmas clothes. It's like we got to get rid of this stock. They'll do sales, but again, there is a Starbucks on site in the back area just for cast members. So this idea, like I'm just realizing, like Disneyland is very much like a Star Destroyer. It's a very large thing. People are segmented out. I did custodial, so I'd have been like Finn, and I did my thing. I came in. They laundered our clothes. I had a locker. You pulled out your clothes for the week.
Wow.
You put them back in. I used my ID card to get any additional clothing I needed just by holding it. Like everything. Like if I got a new hat because my old hat was messy, or like a sweater or a jacket, like kind of the temporary stuff. You can just hold them in your hand with your card. You scan your card. You walk through like a metal detector type thing, and it knows everything that you took out. And it was very, very, but it's all for efficiency. But thinking about it, I feel like life as a cast member at Disneyland, minus the guests and minus the fun stuff, is like being on a Star Destroyer.
Like being a
because
Star
it's city-sized. It's like a small city where everybody has jobs and everybody keeps the ship running.
The whole land is one big
Yes,
city.
there's Earth Starbucks there and Earth Subway in the commissaries and stuff. So it's,
They don't call it that, do they?
I would say yes. Yeah, they do. It's on everything that says Earth Subway. But no, like now that you mention it, yes, I would say yes. There's probably franchisees that have a contract with the First Order.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Well,
I'm glad we got to the bottom of it. That's
That was
yeah.
My
Does the First Order allow smoking?
Coke. So we
There you go.
definitely have Coke machines.
I bet you they have a place. If they do allow smoking, there's a place for the smoke to come out. Now, I don't know if death sticks actually produce a smoke,
Yeah.
but I feel like there would be a room with like a ventilation.
I was going to say, is there a chimney?
because I can tell you at Disneyland,
Just open
There's
right out there.
there's a chimney
tell
on
you
the
at
Star Destroyer
Disneyland.
coming out the back.
Right. Plus,
over at
the
the
Knights of Ren ship has.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Oh, those guys are always smoking.
Over-
Those are the dicks who smoke indoors, like everywhere, like no matter what.
Cigars.
Yeah.
there's a spot at the Grand Californian Hotel that was a sort of a patio, and it was for smoking, but it was kind of indoors, and they had a ventilation system. But now they've gotten rid of all smoking at the park, but whatever.
Right.
But it's very, yeah, I would say yes. I think they would allow smoking because I feel like the Empire would feel like that's a way to control people. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
And they're the bad guys, so
Supplying them with death sticks.
Or
Yeah.
or has it got to a point where they're all, because like maybe they used to be smoking on the Empire Star Destroyers, but now like it's the First Order, so they've all just moved on to vaping, and they're just like, it's fine, it's vape, yeah.
it's actually good for you.
Yeah.
So
I could definitely see Hux. Vaping.
Oh, he vapes. He's got the big one, like the whole unit. Yeah, one of those. Yeah.
It's got like an LED display on it. I've seen those.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. He seems too uptight for that to me. He seems like the type who would be complaining about other people doing it.
yeah. Yeah.
I'm trying to think.
I don't know.
I don't know. There's a whole. This could go into a whole different. We were talking about who's good at dancing, like who smokes what.
Pride smokes, but he's got one of those like the long 1930s things that the cigarette goes on the end of it.
Cruella de Vil.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
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 Classy.
Yeah.
Hey.
So one thing I noticed is BB-8 seems mostly to be hanging around with Rey, not hanging around with Poe Dameron, his owner. Is this the kind of like once someone starts dog sitting, like the dog gradually is like, oh, this is now my owner.
But
now, I'm just gonna go with him.
She did dump a tree on BB-8,
he
so I
was
don't know why
so
BB-8
beat
would...
up.
Yeah. That thing came off of him.
Yeah, I don't know.
They've been co-parenting for a while with that droid though. Like I feel like that's probably why those two bicker so much, is because they are like they're divorced parents, but they never actually were together. It's like they've just jumped straight to divorced co-parenting.
Yeah. Oh, BB-8's like, I don't like when you fight.
But he gets two life days, so he's all right.
Oh, there you go.
It's a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, that'd be great. I'd love to. I love Life Day.
I see through the cracks in your mask.
It's a good line.
Oh,
Yeah.
I see. Yeah.
You. Don't try to fool me, Reptoid. No, the things that they have going on, like they're this one up, they're throwing lines at each other. Rey, like Kylo's totally doing these classic, oh yeah, I see a lot of pain and anger in you, or dark side stuff, like, hey, lean into that.
Sith boilerplate.
But he does say, like, it seems like it's a little, like, it becomes more overt when he's just like, yeah, no, you're going to join the dark side, right? And, like, hey, like, the dark side needs a rebrand. Like, you can't be like, hey, you're going to come be with the bad guys, right? And it was like, well, I mean, a little bit self-aware, but also, like, maybe could we call it something else? Like, that's got to turn off a lot of people who would probably otherwise be, falling into it if they're like, whoa, dark side.
Yeah. Gold side. You need to come up with like a more like,
Yeah.
Right.
Positive.
It's like Sinestro. Like Sinestro's probably not a great name.
Right.
Well,
but I mean, he could be pedantic and be like, "What's Latin?" Like. But
so I'm left-handed.
Yeah.
There's the old Mitchell and Webb sketch where they're playing Nazis and they've got like the skull on their badge, I guess, and they're just like, are we the bad guys? And it's like, yeah, calling yourselves the dark side is like, it's the same energy, definitely.
Yeah. It would be like someone in nowadays, using like the swastika as part of their group. Like no one's gonna do that nowadays. I mean, it's like that's totally been like anyway.
How far-fetched.
Yeah. Why would anyone identify?
But yes, I mean, I guess that's part of it. They want to be there. Like, yes, dark side.
Yeah, they're edgelords.
Yeah, they are, aren't they?
Yeah. You want to join the cool side? That's what they should do.
That's why I never understood, like, I mean, nothing against it, but, like, a lot of times I'll see, if I see a Star Wars bumper sticker or vinyl sticker on a window, it's usually, like, the Empire sticker, and I'm like, oh, no, I kind of like...
I like the good guys.
The good guys.
Yeah. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, I've got a Rebel tattoo. I don't have an Imperial one. Like, yeah.
I put on a Sinestro ring.
There you go.
That makes me
Edgelord.
a bad guy.
Edgelord Ralph.
I ever wore this one. It's really tight.
Yeah.
Well, Ralph, in the green room, we were discussing the fact that you have your rankings ready to go. We have not done that in ages. Figure. Oh, there you go. Do you want to share your rankings of the Star Wars saga? Now, this is only the movies, not the numerous television shows. Or are you including those?
No, I can gloss over it real quick, but I'm just grabbing this from my Letterboxd, which I just happen to. It updates frequently, and I put a little thing on there that says based on how much fun they are and my personal rewatchability level. Like this isn't like I don't really rank them, but these are like, hey, this is the Star Wars I enjoy, and if you were to pit either of these Star Wars movies up against another Star Wars movie, which would I rather watch? Okay, so my number one is Star Wars, 1977. It's the perfect movie, has everything in a Star Wars movie I like, and my favorite characters, including Luke Skywalker.
Star Wars.
And if I'm ranking Star Wars characters, Luke is my favorite. I mean, sorry.
Don't start ranking it within the ranking. Just close this ranking before we get to them. So don't.
Right.
Yeah. Number two, The Empire Strikes Back, which I believe is the best Star Wars movie, just not the one I pop in to have a good time. You know. Number three, any guesses? It'll surprise you.
Solo.
Rise of Skywalker.
Solo, a Star Wars story.
Number
I'm a
three.
huge fan. I'm a really big fan. Other than the fact that there's Han Solo and Chewbacca in it, like I like that it's just this crazy thing over here.
Right.
It's, and that's what I like. I'd rather have a crazy thing over here than everything coming together. Number four, Return of the Jedi.
Okay.
Return of the Jedi,
original trilogy. I kind of, those two flip-flop, by the way, regularly. Rogue One. I really enjoy Rogue One, and I think
our stories showing up.
You guys have done an analysis of it. I don't know where you fall in that movie, but I love it. Number six. This is are people going to get mad at me?
Yes.
Is it to be mad because we're talking about this movie as we speak? The Rise of Skywalker.
Number six.
It's everything I want. There's this thing the thing I like most about Star Wars is the sort of, I have a little Flash Gordon guy right there, Buster Crabbe, our Flash Gordon serials. I like the swashbuckling adventure stuff. And that's what I feel like. I mean, they get to a point where they're on, you're going to get there, like pirate ships flying around in the desert on little pirate ships, shooting off canisters of stuff. So yeah, I like that. 7 is episode 7. Ewok Caravan of Courage. Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Which I've really come around on the prequels. I was not a fan, and I've been like with Mandalorian this past season where they're showing like Coruscant and re-showing Order 66. I'm like, I kind of am taking comfort in seeing this like prequel stuff for some reason, because it's been like what 22 years or something, 24 years since episode 1, and it's like 24. Episode 2 again, it's the swashbuckling BS, and a lot of that ranking for episode 2 is the IMAX version. If it's out there, if anyone can find a copy of the IMAX version of episode 2, it's awesome. It's so good. They cut out everything, every scene that you groan at, where you're like, ugh, it's trimmed.
So it's just credits then.
No Shaq. But even the credits. So they cut the credits.
What's left?
And put it up on an IMAX screen. They put everybody's name on an IMAX screen, all tiny. And it was like 4 cards. They showed like,
oh wow,
here's everybody, here's everybody, here's everybody. Call THX if you don't like this movie.
Wow.
Like it was great. 11 Battle for Endor.
How do you feel about that?
I'm intrigued. Definitely intrigued.
By the IMAX cut?
Well, no, specifically about the fact the credits are basically 30 seconds long.
I thought I meant the whole deal. I would like to I would like to see the Attack of the Clones.
So you know how C-3PO in the droid factory, C-3PO gets pushed off the thing, lands on a droid. The droid picks him up and flings him around, and he goes flying around all over the place. Right? In the IMAX cut, C-3PO gets knocked down off the platform out of the hallway. R2 pushes him. He lands directly on the conveyor belt, gets his head cut off, and then you cut to, like, they take out all that goofy.
The droid flying around.
This is madness. Yeah. So because the IMAX could only be, like, I think an hour or 2 hours long. And so they had to trim down like a half hour of stuff.
Right.
So the credits, easy chunk. But then, like, there's no shacks. They don't ride on the shacks. I remember that. Mm-hmm. And they cut down the Padme and Anakin stuff a lot. And
I'm intrigued. I'll see it. If I get a chance, I'll watch it. But
it's like a real trimmed down Attack of the Clones. Then Revenge of the Sith. And then Last Jedi. The Last Jedi is last. And the reason, here's the thing. Last Jedi, half of the movie has some of my all-time favorite Star Wars stuff in it. All the stuff with Luke, Rey, and Kylo, I think, is like some of my absolute favorite Star Wars stuff. And then the other stuff is some of my least favorite Star Wars stuff. So it just, I tend not to watch it. But
where did you have the other Ewok movie?
That was between episode 2 and episode 3, The Battle for Endor.
Okay.
And I had the Clone Wars animated movie at number below Last Jedi.
I was going to say, if you had that above...
It's tough to get. It's tough to get through.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, I do feel bad because I really like Rian Johnson. Poker Face was amazing. Glass Onion and Knives Out and Brick. I saw Brick in the theater when it came out. And I started watching Columbos because we finished Poker Face, and I watched my first Columbo ever. I didn't watch the movie yet because we didn't know till after we watched it. But that first Columbo, directed by Steven Spielberg, that's nuts. Mm-hmm. Like, and you can tell it's him somehow. Somehow Steven Spielberg returned. But no, I really like Rian Johnson. It's just not my. I feel like and I know we're not talking about this movie, but I feel like he thought he had one shot to do Star Wars and had like 40 years of ideas and put them all in the movie, and instead of letting certain things go. But anyway,
it's interesting that you
still
say
rather
that
watch it
since the Rise of Skywalker, as by your own admission, has a ton of stuff
so
in
much
it,
stuff.
and
Yeah,
definitely feels like something.
But it's
like
the pacing.
Yeah,
but the pacing it goes. The slow speed chase in The Last Jedi, it doesn't make sense to me at all. And it's just like faster, more intense. Like you're being chased by the First Order and you're just having a conversation about, I don't know, whatever they're talking about. Leia shoots Poe with a stun thing and he flies across the thing and stuff like that. I'm like, they're the First Order's right in your tail, right? Like,
but they can't get any closer.
It's funny.
James,
Ralph and I talk about live action Star Wars every week, and I don't think we've ever gone through a whole ranking of it. But so, like, hearing Ralph's there was really interesting because mine is quite different. There's a few things that we line up on, but it is quite different. Yeah, no, exactly, and I think that's really good. I really enjoy that because we both come at it with a different perspective.
Battle for Endor first.
Easily. Then the Clone Wars.
He did. He watched those for the first time. He watched the 2 Ewok movies for the first time for the show.
Didn't really like them that much.
I don't think.
No, it was fine. I enjoyed watching them. Yeah, I'm not gonna go back and watch them. It was fun. It was fun to do the show about them. I similar to Ralph. Like I love all of these movies. There's not a quote unquote bad one in the bunch for me personally. Whenever I talk about other films, I have to separate Star Wars from the conversation. Like I consider Dazed and Confused to be my favorite film, but Star Wars is just in its own different category. I can't rank them against other things. Right. So I can't put Raiders of the Lost Ark in there as a baseline. But it would probably be quite high if I did. Star Wars is number 1. It's a no-brainer. It's Star Wars. Number 2 and 3 flip-flop to me as the days of the week change. And it is between Jedi and Empire. If we're nailing it down today,
Return of or
Return
last?
of. Return of. The original trilogy are the top three for me. But yeah, it's Star Wars firmly at number one. And then I'm going to go with Empire today because it's Tongs Day. It's, and then Jedi, then Rogue One. I love Rogue One. I think it's really, really good. And I think on repeat viewings, it only seems to go up. It does seem to go up in my ranking. The biggest divergent me and Ralph have here is that I've got The Last Jedi next. I love it. I think it's a really good movie. I agree that it's not perfect. I agree that it's got some problems. But none of them are, and they all do.
Well, maybe Star Wars.
Yeah, it's pretty perfect.
Yeah.
Then it's The Force Awakens, just a great fun time. Solo is next, and again, really, really enjoyable. I get a kick out of the Corellia stuff because I can look out of this window just here and see where they shot some of the plate stuff for Corellia. And as a big like pilot fan, as a Han Solo fan, as a Wedge fan, like Corellia has always just felt special to me. And so to see it like there and know that they shot some of it down here was really, really cool. It's really fun. Revenge of the Sith next, best of the prequels, in my opinion. Then Rise of Skywalker. Those two could probably flip-flop quite a lot. I enjoy this film. I think it's a really fun one. Then Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, closing it out. But again, since doing our podcast and hearing Ralph talk so passionately about Attack of the Clones, seeing the re-edit that you did of some of it as an old-timey serial, it's really fun. There's some really good fun stuff in there. But it's, for me, the weakest of the batch.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think I agree. It's one of those things where I find myself putting it on a lot because it's just so crazy.
It's definitely crazy. Yeah,
it's crazy.
That we can all agree on.
I kind of like George Lucas off the rails.
Yeah,
right.
It's a really fun movie, but it's as Alex said, something has to be at the bottom.
I'm picturing him now like Kylo Ren, just like he goes into the other room and he comes out with Attack of the Clones. He's like, what is this? Somebody determine what's going on here.
I will say that ranking that I had is I've got five different versions of it scribbled down on this bit of paper that I did last night. And like it's every time it changes. And the 5, it's like there's a few things that are sort of locked in relatively similar place, but everything else just sort of jumps around all over the place.
Yeah, that's
I just realized
true for everybody.
I just realized my Glass Onion invitation was in the
thing you just wrote on. Did we just ruin it?
It's in the envelope that I just kept it there because I went in and I got like a record, the limited edition record, and they were doing a signing later that day. But they were signing on this invitation, the Glass Onion invitation, and I was like, I'm not gonna wait around all day. So, but I kept it. But yeah, nothing against Rian Johnson. I like the dude.
Yeah, I agree that most of the time it's like Star Wars is always locked in at number 1, and then Empire is usually right after it, and then there's a big anything, and then at the bottom it's usually like Revenge of the Sith, and then Attack of the Clones at the bottom, and anything else in the middle is always up for debate. It's like a lotto balls or
bingo thing,
tumbler. Like any one of those other movies could be the top, could be the bottom. Like who knows? Depends on.
And for me, like I would rather watch the bottom. So my bottom would be The Last Jedi. I would rather watch that than the best Harry Potter or the best Star Trek. Sorry, Pete.
Wow.
But it's just one of those things where Star Wars sort of supersedes everything else. Is that the right word? I'm trying not to use...
Franchise-wise, I'd agree with that completely. There are other movies that I would watch over Attack of the Clones or some of the stuff from the bottom of that. But of the big franchises, like I'd choose to watch the bottom of my Star Wars list over most other.
Speaking of which, my Letterboxd also has the Fast and Furious ranked. If you guys want to know that,
I think
Never
there's
seen
another show.
Yeah, I've never seen one either, so it wouldn't. Yeah,
yeah,
that's a different-
it's. I've seen all of them in the theater except for one. We're big fans, and it's an impossible like recommendation. Like you kind of have to just like decide. Like,
I
what?
don't think I've
Let's
ever
see what it's all
seen
about.
any of them without being California legal. If you understand.
What is
I mean,
what
I've
does
been
that
under
mean?
the influence.
Right. I forget that you're
Definitely
like,
not legal.
born
See,
in-
we don't
Yeah.
because we're in
Yeah,
California.
no,
It's just
no.
like what, man, what?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Everything's
sounds
legal in
yeah.
California.
yeah.
Well, unless you guys have anything else, did you have something else, Pete?
I had just one last note pertaining to the minute because I wanted to
Okay.
tie it up a minute. Just like earlier when we thought, hey, the Knights of Ren, cool. Here's another line that I didn't think they said this, but dialogue being not so clear. When Kylo Ren is like, when I offer you my hand again, you'll take it. And then to me, it sounded like she said, was he?
Was he?
What? Was he?
Fuzzy Wuzzy was a woman.
Yeah.
What is that?
Exactly.
What does she
I
say?
forget what that's from.
Stir crazy,
see.
I think, or
She-
no.
we'll
Hear no
see.
evil, see no evil.
Yeah. She says we'll see. And it's one of those things where I was like, oh, you really let yourself down there at the end. Like, you'd had such a good, like, verbal barbing back and forth, like, verbal jabs. You'd had something, he'd had something, and then just, we'll see. I'm just like,
Yeah.
Lame.
it's like,
No,
you
you lost.
you lost that round.
I'm glad though
15
because
love,
it shows
Kylo
that
Ren.
she's not a complete. She has some human flaws. She's not.
Yeah.
She's not good at quick. They should have shown her later being like, "We'll see." Oh, idiot! Why did you say that? We'll see.
yeah. She comes up with something really good as
Yeah,
she's trying to
right.
find the rest of the game.
She like
Take your
forced
hand
will
and slap
try.
you with it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
cut to Kylo Ren sleeping, and suddenly in the middle of the night she shows up. He's like, "No, the jerk store called, and they're out of you," and then runs out really quick before. So, all right. On that note, let us wrap up minute 25. Thank you, live action Star Wars crew, for joining us here, and people should
Yeah.
check out your
Thank
podcast,
you.
which I'm assuming is available wherever podcasts are available.
Yep, it is available. We do it live every Wednesday. Follow the socials for the times because that changes. But yeah, we are live on YouTube and I think Twitter and things like that. But YouTube is the place to go to find us, to watch us live. Or
And
you can
I've
find
been-
the audio version afterwards. Anyway,
It's 7:30 in the morning California time, and so I get up at 5:30
Right
to
now?
watch new episodes
Legal.
when we record live. And I still feel bad because I think I believe I spoiled Pete on a Rancor appearance in Book of Boba Fett.
Oh, maybe.
I
yeah.
Pete, is this true?
through context
I think
clues,
so.
because I think I posted that image at like 7:30 in the morning, and I was like, it has nothing to do with this. I'm like, it's just a thing. It's Danny Trejo with the Rancor.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh no, I gotta stop doing that. I gotta stop. I gotta stop.
Ralph's not going to be
Part of the
invited back on
problem.
Monday.
Yeah.
Yeah, but luckily I wasn't as invested in Book of Boba Fett as I wanted to be at
Right.
that point, so I
I've
wasn't
been
too broken
really,
up about that
really,
one.
yeah. I've been really, really trying not to, but you get up early in the morning to watch a new Star Wars, and it's like you get excited about things. And
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I guess we'll just do this.
Why don't you just
Rancor picture,
write the
but-
tweet, but then schedule it? Say,
I
show this
created
tomorrow.
a thing that says spoiler image so that it gives a warning. All because I think Pete got spoiled by a Rancor. I don't know if it's true. I think I got it through context clues on your Mandalorian show. You'd mentioned
It's like
people
some
posting
idiot
spoilers
posted a
really
picture.
early. Yeah, and I'm like, oh no, I'm pretty sure I'm this some idiot.
Yeah.
But hey, it made it. I think it's made our show better. And if anybody
Posting
who
spoilers.
loves Star Wars,
Yeah.
anybody who loves Star Wars, the original 1977 film, Pete and Alex joined us for an episode about the Tashi Station scene.
Yeah.
That's available at liveactionstarwars.com.
Nice.
So check that
I
out.
remember that. Shape up,
Yeah,
you guys.
it's fun.
Know what Luke says when
Right.
he storms into the
Yeah.
room. Shape up.
Yeah.
Biggs, what are you doing?
And it happened to like, we happened to do that episode right before like the final Book of Boba Fett trailer happened, and
Oh,
they
yeah.
showed Tashi Station in the trailer, and we're like, that's
All right.
weird.
So fortuitous. It was great.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for being here all week. People should go check out your show, and people should also check out Dan Whitley and his Rebel Force Band. Haven't given him a shout out here in a while. He does our opening theme song, and you can find his. What's the name of his album? Do you remember? What's the name of the album, Pete?
Living in These Star Wars.
Living in These Star Wars, available most places where you get digital music, maybe?
Sometimes it's spelled with a Z for copyright purposes.
Yes.
Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's LIVIN apostrophe, I think.
Yeah.
He's edgy.
I know.
But if you are
It's
a
all over the
fan
place,
of, I guess it was like 70s disco-y kind of music, that era?
Post, well, it's like, but kind of 70s Beach Boys, 70s kind of
California
Boss
kind
Gang.
of sound, kind of. It's no Lido Shuffle, that's for sure. But it's a pretty good album nonetheless. You should check it out. And Patreons, we'll be talking to you tomorrow. Everyone else, we will see you on the next Star Wars Minute.
Star Wars Minute.
Minute.